when a leader thinks about the short run and the long run. They have the quarterly review, and they need to take care about the revenues right now, and they need to think about what would be 2 or maybe 3 years from now, and it's sometimes contradicting. So how do they do this, like, two um, different opposite sides?
I think, if I got gray hair, it's because of this, you know, I mean, it's like it's a game. I mean, it's something which is not a comfortable place to be at. On the other side, it has to do with growth, sustainable growth. So, and for me, sustainable growth is around, without increasing now, financials, um, looking at how to get some additional financing. It is about to build it around client centricity. And for me, I mean, you cannot build client centricity if you're only thinking about your customer or your client experience journey. It's also about thinking ahead. It's also about anticipating what will come, what will happen in the marketplace. And especially nowadays, you do not know where all suddenly you might face a new competitor or someone, a partner with whom you could link up and work together. You don't know it. So I think that 3 to 5 year strategies are becoming more or less obsolete. I mean, it's good to have them to know in which directions you're heading, but you need to revise them constantly. I mean, I would even say in a rhythm of 6 months, the least, just to see what is going on, in the marketplace, to know, I mean, to really work on what is called the leading indicators. And and if I may tell a personal story for that,
Sure.
my father has been a pilot and was a pilot, and in the 70s, the military and the commercial flight space was the same, and the fact of anticipating was something which saved my father's life many times, especially when flying in clouds. And he was always, looking around if he could spot a shadow, because then he knew, "Oh, there might be, another plane coming, hitting or flying towards you." So it was about steering, the plane to the other direction. Good for him. Both sides did had the
Yeah, good,
right,
good for
you
the
know,
other side.
absolutely. Um, and I grew up in this. I grew up in this mantra of anticipation, and I recall my father telling me already as a child, "Gatti, anticipate." When I was driving, "Gatti, anticipate," and it gave me the reflex of, anticipating everything. And it's kind of fatigue. I mean, it is exhausting, but you have your antennas and your ears, which are which need to be open all the time to know what is happening. And my background, I have been always called to either bring out companies out of a mess, or a messy situation. And the when you step in such a mandate, or in a company, which is in a delicate place, you look at the current indicators, the past indicators, the lagging ones, but they're giving you some hints about why they are in not so good place. But the first thing you need really to look at are the leading indicators, because they're giving you the opportunity to steer out, like the plane, to steer the company or the business, instead of flying downwards or falling, but to steer it in another direction. And I think that with regard to that, um, strategy and short-term thinking need to be aligned all the time, and you need to correct them nowadays. Long answer
Yeah.
to a short question.
I love the story about your father in flying in the clouds, and to remind me of my father. He was a military person for a few, like half of his career, I know, maybe less. And he always told me, be careful. When I opened the closet in the kitchen, he said it could hurt your eye or something. He always
Mhm.
was very anxious about that. So it reminds me that we always, like, all the kids are laughing, like, yeah, it will hurt your eye when you open the closet. It's so
But they
funny.
are, I mean, our parents in a certain way. I mean, I must say I'm very grateful to my father, and I know it. I mean, having seen him, I think the the incident which made him really, where he came at home with straight hair on his head, which I've never seen before, with him when the tower, it was, I think, in Madrid, made an error and placed two arriving planes at the same point, only the altitudes were different. And so the
Wow.
tower was only seeing one point, and they really hit in the air with their plane with a 747. And for
Wow.
God's sake, I mean, the pilots had the right, reactions. My father was underneath and had still, the ability to steer down and to land safely. But, I think that with this in the background, you never know where the danger, the danger opportunities will come from. And this is also the beauty, because when you work around client centricity, um, it is, as a leader, it is for you the ability also to test how far you can stretch your products and services, the skills in your company, but also the structure of the company. If you want to be really client centric, can you continue to operate as you are today, or do you need to adapt something? And this is where I think leaders, even though getting gray hair, it comes with the responsibility. It has a very much an entrepreneurial thinking, and you need to act quickly, and therefore clarity in everything you do is really important, and also always to trigger the right button with a leader, because then they start thinking, it's like an automatism which pops out, and
Yeah.
then where you can then start having the discussions on how you can do it.
Right, right.